enough said, right?
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
Folks, the landscape of the Big Ten may have just changed and changed in a big way with USC's statement win in Las Vegas over the 13th ranked LSU Tigers. Considering other things that we've seen in week number one, looking at you, Oregon, looking at you, Michigan, and then you look at the impressive win for the USC Trojans, a win in a game that a lot of people nationally said that they didn't really have much of a shot to win, proving a lot of people wrong. Not this commentator. I had the Trojans taking home the W, right? But this is a huge win, and maybe take things that you know or you thought you knew about the Big Ten Conference, crumple it up, throw it to the side because it might be looking a little bit different. Lincoln Riley, we know. Who am I to doubt Lincoln Riley, right? I've been saying that this offseason as it pertains to them really going in the direction of Miller Moss. We're certainly going to talk about him here in this reaction, but you can't doubt what he does on the offensive side of the football. And now you combine that with a competent defense, that could be the recipe for a run, maybe, to Indianapolis for the USC Trojans. I'm really trying my best not to overreact. And I know that's something a lot of people say, hey, it's week one, don't overreact. But hey, when you beat a really good team like LSU, and like winning that game is big in and of itself. But to me, it's what they were able to overcome in this game and how they were able to win this game. Okay, big win, we get that. It's USC, it's Lincoln Riley. We're going to talk about offense first. No. We are going to be talking about defense first when I really touch on my takeaways. This is a sound defensive team. Let me say it again for everybody in the back. The USC Trojans are a sound defensive football team. The big matchup, I touched on it on my preview, and a lot of other people touched on it as maybe a mismatch for USC. I talked about it being a big challenge for the Trojans, was you're taking on what might be the best offensive line in college football that the Tigers have, and you had some question marks up front on the defensive line. USC went nose to nose with this LSU front. They kept the line of scrimmage the line of scrimmage. They avoided LSU from creating a new line of scrimmage 2 yards down the field, 3 yards down the field. Will Campbell and others said in the media, the Baton Rouge media for LSU, that says we're going to be physical and we're going to run the football. And then you heard it on Holly Rowe's sideline report in the second half that says Brian Kelly says we need to establish that line of scrimmage. But USC, look, they didn't make a ton of plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage, but being able to have a stalemate, being able to hold their own, allowed people like Mason Cobb to really come up and make some plays in this football game. I thought Kamari Ramsey made some big-time tackles and big-time stops in this football game. Being able to hold their own against this front, this is this will be the best offensive line that USC, or maybe anybody else, we're talking about USC now, but this will be the best front that USC will face all season long. Just imagine what they're going to do against maybe some other offensive lines that they face here this season. All right, continuing on with defense. You heard Reese Davis talk about it. You heard Kirk Herbstreit talk about it. Soft coverage. They were really playing off LSU's receivers. You saw Kyron Lacey really take advantage of it early on in this football game. They were going to him pass after pass after pass, and Garrett Nussmeier had time. We'll get to that in just a minute. But I thought of it as maybe a negative at first. I'm like, man, they can't man up with some of these receivers on the outside. But I kind of took a minute to think about it. And then when this game was over, I'm like, they didn't really allow a lot of huge plays over the top. I think they wanted to keep everything in front of them. I believe the game plan for Danton was, hey, we're going to hold our own at the line of scrimmage. We're going to contain this run game. We're going to keep everything in front of us, not allow big explosive scoring plays over the top. And that's going to allow us to be in this game, and our offense is going to take care of it, make some big-time scores. And that's exactly what happened, folks. D'Anton Lynn's plan worked pretty darn well in this football game. So at first I thought it was maybe a mark against them. But now that I think about it, and they certainly need to get better and tighter coverage, right? I don't know if they're, maybe they're going to be able to play like that all season long. We'll see. We'll see, because this will be probably one of, if not the best offense that USC faces all season long. But I'm curious to see how if they continue this, because the secondary, I think, is the strength. Well, coming into this game, I thought it was the strength of the defense, but that defensive line certainly looked pretty good in this football game as well. But just something to keep in mind for the future, something to certainly look out in the future. But you got to give credit to what this defensive staff did and the game plan they put together, keeping everything in front of them. Now, part of keeping everything in front of them is making those open field tackles. We know USC has been just atrocious at that the last 2 seasons. And they did a really good job at making those open field tackles. There were a few situations, specifically in the second half, where they needed to make an open field tackle to force a 4th down. I said that in my preview. I say, hey, if it's 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8 and they throw a 3-yard, 4-yard passing concept to try to get some yak yardage and have them run for the 1st down, you need to be able to make that tackle. USC came up and they made those stops that they were not making the last couple of seasons. Man, they made some huge stops in the 4th quarter. Early on in this 4th quarter, all right, John Emery and this offensive line, they were really feeling it. USC was out of sync on the offensive side of the ball. The defense looks like it was getting worn down. They were starting to pull off a lot of big chunk runs in this run game, but they made a big stop early in the 4th quarter, right? This was the definition of bend but don't break, right, in the 4th quarter for the USC Trojans. And then forcing that field goal, of course, under 2 minutes to go, to make it 20-20 there late in the football game. They made huge stops late in the game when they need to. Those 2 stops specifically, and I honestly think it was the one early in the 4th quarter, because LSU was moving the ball down the field. Things were not going well offensively for USC. If they don't make that stop, it's 24-13 in the 4th quarter, and all of the momentum is in the favor of the Bayou Bengals at that point in time. That may have been the stop that won the Trojans this football game. They need more of a pass rush against some of these other teams. They need to be able to improve on that as the season goes along. Garrett Nussmeier had an extremely clean pocket throughout this football game as well. So something to really work on, because that was one thing. If they ended up on the losing end, that was really going to be magnified. Now they came out with a W. It's something that they certainly need to focus on, need to generate more pressure as we get towards the Big Ten schedule for the USC Trojans. Why are the Big Ten Trojans a Big Ten threat? Well, that is point number 2 on my takeaways. They're a Big Ten threat because of point number 1, right? Because of that defense. When you combine Lincoln Riley with a competent defense, that is a recipe for disaster for the rest of the Big Ten Conference. And with this statement win over LSU, this is a team, if they can continue to play like this. Let's take a look at that game in Ann Arbor in a few weeks at Michigan. Look at how Michigan played, okay? I put them in a lot of the same box as a team like Wisconsin. Their offense is within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, okay? And then you look at Michigan's offensive line. You look how USC was able to play up front. If USC can score just enough points, right now, I believe this is a USC team that could go into Ann Arbor and win. You look at the rest of this schedule. Outside of Michigan and outside of Penn State, we're going to put Notre Dame to the side for now since it's not a Big Ten game. We're going to focus on the run to Indianapolis. If they split Michigan and they split Penn State, hell, they could win them both, but right now we're going to say if they split those games, this is a team that could make it to Indianapolis. Because I think they're going to continue to get better and better and better. Everybody's talking about, hey, USC needs to be able to handle the physicality of the Big Ten Conference. I think, and I said this during the offseason, it goes both ways, folks. Okay, Big Ten defenses are going to need to be able to adjust to this offense as well. They are a big threat in the Big Ten Conference as well because of Miller freaking Moss. He is that dude. He's so calm, cool, and collected during play when he needs to make big throws, but you can tell his leadership. You can tell his passion on the sidelines when he does make big plays. He shows it out there. He's fist pumping. He's celebrating with his teammates. It is great to see. And man, this dude just looks so comfortable. He looks so comfortable in this offense. Everybody is confident. Miller Moss is confident. Miller Moss has a lot of confidence in all of his receivers out there on the perimeter as well. There's so much trust. We talked to Ryan Dyrud from LAFB in our season preview. There is trust. There is confidence because Miller Moss, second team quarterback. You look at the Deuce Robinsons. You look at Zachariah Branch. You look at Makai Lemon. You look at Jacoby Lane. All of these guys, they were getting second team reps all together last season. That's why they have that chemistry. That's why you were able to see what you were able to see in this game. He never panicked, and he always made big plays when you get through that third quarter. Maybe some of the play calls were a little bit questionable at points. You get him into the fourth quarter, right? Just his second career start. Maybe a situation where other quarterbacks might have folded a little bit, wouldn't have been able to make that play. The awareness on that offsides to hit a pinpoint throw on a free play to Jacoby Lane it got me out of my seat. Let me just say that. As well. I want to talk a few other points here. I'm going to flash up the box score in this one. Just 117 yards on the ground for LSU, a team that said that they were going to be able to pound the rock in this football game. USC bucked up at the line of scrimmage. And that's probably, out of all the things that you can take away in this football game, the defensive line play, I think, impressed me the most for USC. Because if they can do that against LSU, they can do it against Michigan, a team that wants to be able to impose their will and run the football. And from what I saw in week one, LSU has a better front, certainly, than the University of Michigan over there as well. And Miller Moss, nearly 400 yards through the air in this one. Is this an overreaction? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but Miller Moss could very well be the best quarterback in this conference and one of the best quarterbacks in the country because Lincoln Riley's his coach. Okay, if you're a USC quarterback recruit and you're looking at this and maybe, like if you're Jaden Maeva, you're like, why would I go anywhere? If you're Julian Lewis, a guy that's committed to Lincoln Riley, why would I go anywhere? Even if I have to sit for 2 years, Lincoln Riley is going to make me a first-round draft pick as well. Let's talk about Woody Marks a little bit because this run game is a little bit of a change of pace. We all know that the pass game, it's a Lincoln Riley offense after all, we all know that the pass game is going to be the primary focus to get yards, to get points within this offense. But I really like the change of pace that Woody Marks provides. He provided some pop in this run game as well. We saw a little bit of Quentin Joyner in this game, but I kind of said this in my preview with Ryan Dyrud. I thought that this run game, and we kind of saw it really take on that life throughout this game, that I think it's going to be a changeup to keep defenses to respect that part of the game where they just can't invest against defending the pass because you saw it at certain points. If you lean into that defensively, Woody Marks can kill you. He can bust off some big chunk yards in this game as well, and in this offense as well. That's what I do. I take a deep breath. Well, I hold my breath maybe when Zachariah Branch touches the football. Okay, whether it was the kick return, whether it was getting the ball into him in short passing concepts like screens, he's that electricity, man. He is that electric player. Now, outside of the kick return, and I think there was one pass and catch where he was able to bust it off for a first down or something. He didn't get a ton of opportunities, but man, you look at his speed and the team speed of USC, and when they face maybe a defense with lesser team speed like LSU, I think you're really going to see the disparity as the season really goes along as well. What a game. What a statement victory for the USC Trojans in this game over the LSU Tigers. This is creating more depth at the top of the conference, folks. This is going to make the conference, I think, a lot better and a lot more exciting as we look to that journey for Indianapolis. How high are you on the USC Trojans right now? Do you think that this is a team that can contend to get to Indianapolis? I think after this performance and what we've seen, you got to think they're going to be able to get better. I think this can be a team, a dark horse pick to get to Indianapolis. Leave all your thoughts, USC and LSU, in the comments below. I'm Big Ten Ted. Whew. Big win for the Trojans. Fight on. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.